So, welcome back to a new episode of Two Glasses Deep. I'm sitting in front of Martín. We are in a new studio, so it's really exciting. Yeah, and I met Martín through a very, very dear friend of mine, because Martín is the brother of her boyfriend. And I actually have a lot of products from you at my place. Maybe true. We will talk about this later. And yeah, I'm really happy that we could do it. We will talk in English, but sometimes maybe we will switch to a little bit of German or a little bit of Spanish. I'm not fluent in Spanish and Martín is not yet fluent in German, so we decided to choose English for the language of this episode. So yeah, do you want to introduce yourself maybe?
Yes, thank you, Rosa. My name is Martín Vázquez. I come from Guatemala. That's why I speak Spanish better than other languages. And yeah, I've been living in Vienna for a little longer than a year.
Mm-hmm.
So
already a year, wow.
Yeah, already
Time
like
passes.
14 months now, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it goes fast. But yeah, that's me.
Okay, nice. And what are you doing? I mean, I already know kind of what you're doing, but maybe the audience wants to know as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm an industrial designer and artist. I came here with my wife, Sofia.
Mm-hmm.
We both have a brand called Marzo Studio. Marzo is Martín and Sofia, so it's not that hard.
Smart, yeah.
Marzo Studio, where we do tufted rugs, we do workshops, and before that we also had some other brands. I had one called Mauve, and she had her own personal brand where she did some bags and shoes and earrings and things like that. And I used to do backpacks and stuff like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, since we're here in Vienna, our main focus has been Marzo Studio, where we do the tufted rugs and tufting workshops. That's what we're doing right now.
Okay. And your work is really nice.
Thank you.
Can you explain me what industrial design means exactly?
Yeah, of course. We both studied industrial design. It's a branch of design and architecture where you learn to design anything that you want. When we first started, you start to design furniture. I was used to design more like sofas and lighting fixtures and things like that. But then I wanted to really focus on textile art and things like that. So with industrial design, you can also design clothing and other things. So whatever you can think of, everything is designed in this world, you know. So that's basically industrial design. How I like to see it is like architecture is focused on I don't know how to say it, but like the room, right? Like the space that you're in. And then graphic design is whatever you put on the walls of the room and then industrial design is how you feel the room, right? With everything that you see, that you can touch. That's industrial design. So yeah.
But it's hard to imagine what you study when you're studying industrial design, if it can be anything.
Yes.
Like how do you decide to have a main focus? So I understand, I think I understand now better how it's like, for me, it was always so crazy that you and Sophia, you have so many like,
that we can use whatever material.
You do everything.
Yes.
You do jewelry and you do shoes. And I don't know how one person can do, or two people can do so many things at one time. But now it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. When we studied, like the first semester is focused on wood. So you just work with wood. Then the next semester is just metals. So you have to learn about metals, how to like use different things to cut and solder metal and things like that. And then you go with glasses and ceramics and then textile. So yeah, you learn basically whatever you want, and then you can like focus on one thing if you want. If you don't want to focus on one thing, you can just go crazy, you know. And that's basically what we've done so far. But now I started like to focus just in textiles. That's what I really liked. So that's where I'm at now.
But did you learn how to tuft as well? Or
No.
could you maybe explain for the audience what tufting is? Because I didn't know this word before.
Yeah, of course. So tufting is a technique used to make rugs the first thing is to make rugs, but now it's used for many other things. It's basically like a tattoo machine, but with yarn instead of ink, right? So you have a canvas, it's a cotton canvas where you draw your design, and then with that special machine or gun, however you want to call it, you put some yarn in it, and then that machine punctures through the canvas, and you start like putting the yarn into the canvas, and then afterwards you have the rug. So that's tufting basically. And well, how we started doing it is I had another brand that I started with two architects. It was called Luin. It was like my personal furniture brand, where we wanted to mix my artist side with the industrial design.
But it was in Guatemala.
In Guatemala. That was in Guatemala. That was maybe 6 years ago, something like that. I started working with these two architects. They told me, like, we love your ideas and everything. Let's do a brand, your own brand, and let's do furniture and whatever you want. So we started with that. I made some light fixtures and some furniture. It was nice. But then I came across tufting. It was like this American artist that she did huge murals with tufting, like huge murals. It was like amazing. And I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. Because if we want to mix art with design, I think doing something like this, I don't know, it really moved me, you know? So I was like, hey guys, I have the new best thing. Let's buy the tufting machine. I already have it here. We just need to buy it, and then I'll see what happens. And then they were like, you're crazy. Nobody's gonna buy that. Nobody's gonna care about that. So no. And I was like, okay, whatever. They said no. Then I waited like a year, and I received an email from the tufting, the guys that did the tufting guns. They sent me an email like, we have a special. So if you buy it, it's like 25% off.
Okay.
And then I was like, should I buy it on my own? I don't know. I was like, they didn't want to buy it. Maybe I should just buy it. So I told Sophia, like, you know what? I think I want to buy this machine. And she was like, you know what? I'll give you half the money right now. Let's buy it together. And I was like, oh, wow.
Oh, so nice to have a partner in crime as well.
Yes. That's the motivation I needed, you know? So it was like, okay, let's buy it. We bought it together. And then we had to wait like 4 months for it to get to Guatemala. Yeah. It was like, okay, yeah. Okay. And then the first time we used the machine, we made a huge hole on the canvas, and we were like, oh my God, this is not that easy. What are we going to do? Why did we buy this? And then we started like getting in the hang of it. So it was starting to get more like, okay, now we know how to do it. But yeah, it's really difficult doing something artistic or creative in Guatemala because, for example, one of the issues is that Guatemala is the only country in the world without a post office. Like, yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, it's the only country. So if we wanted to buy something from the States or from whatever, you have to use UPS or DHL or whatever company that does parcels. So it would be too expensive for us to buy the wool or to buy the canvas. So we had to look around in Guatemala and see what we could find, you know. And
also to sell it is way more expensive. And also then the people maybe don't want to buy it if it's so expensive to ship the order.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it was like, okay. So we focused mainly on just selling in Guatemala, where we could just hand it over ourselves or use other companies that were Guatemalan based that weren't that expensive. But so, for example, the canvas that we use now, it's specifically for tufting, specifically for rugs. But in Guatemala, that doesn't exist. So we had to search for other canvases that would maybe work. And we did find some, but it was harder to do on that canvas than it is on the canvas that we use now. So that was also like a learning experience and having to, like, you know, see what we can do with what we have, right? So yeah, that was certainly difficult to begin with the tufting and everything. And I already forgot where I was going with that. So yeah.
I don't know. I was asking if you could explain what tufting was. And
okay. I went in a tangent.
But it's perfect. I think it's really interesting. Okay, so your work started to be easier when you arrived in Austria, then, or I mean, at least for the shipping kind of
for
stuff.
everything, yeah. With the materials and everything, here is really nice to be able to just buy exactly what we need to do the tufting. You know, I think that's one of the best things about living here is that we can actually do the work with the materials that we want to do it with. But yeah, so yeah, tufting, basically that's it, you know. Maybe I think it was how it started, right? So we bought the machine with Sofia, and then we started with, exactly that.
Okay, but that's really cool that you found something that really inspired you. And I really wanted to know what the name of the artist was.
I actually don't remember the name. I would have to look it up.
Okay, but if you Google like artists,
there are some
murals,
now. Yeah, exactly. I know of maybe 4 really big artists now that use tufting. I don't know the names, but if you just search for tufted murals, you will find some of them. There's one artist from where is she from? The Netherlands, that she also does murals. They are really amazing. And there's also a Chinese artist. She does vases, like 3-dimensional vases with tufting. So it's really wild, you know. You can think of whatever, and then you can just do it with tufting.
But 3-dimensional vases. So it's actually like only on a wall, like
she is like a sculpture. So she does the vase with wood or with other materials. Then she does the tufting, and then she uses it to wrap around the wooden vase, and it looks amazing.
Okay, yeah, that's crazy, because before I met you, I've known no person that has ever tufted, or I don't know. But now that I know you, I have the feeling like it's. Maybe I just recognize them now, or maybe it's getting modern that people like to do tufting workshops.
I think it's getting there, yeah.
But also, if one wants, they can book a workshop with you, right?
Yes, we have workshops every week. So
every week,
nice.
Yeah,
every Thursday and Saturday. So yeah, but yeah, it's been a wild ride. When we started, there wasn't much about tufting, you know. We had to just try and see what happened with the materials and what kind of wool we needed and everything, because nobody was doing it at the time when we started. Then we started to see a bit of YouTube videos of people in the States doing also tufting, and we were like, okay, so they are starting to do tufting and they are using this machinery. Maybe we could buy that machine, and then we can maybe do this and that. Yeah. So it was like really cool to see it start, because there weren't many people doing tufting. Now it's everywhere. And when we started in Guatemala, we were like the first ones. But a couple of months later, like 2 months or 3 months after we started doing tufting, we already had like 3 competitors in Guatemala doing tufting. It was like, wow.
Then this happened at the same time, right?
Yeah.
These are like trends that I never understand, that sometimes you have an idea and maybe it's trend based, I don't know, but somehow other people also have the same idea, and then, or maybe you start seeing the things that you didn't see before, as I mentioned before. But yeah, okay, that's really interesting.
It is interesting, yeah, because now that we are here, we left Guatemala, right? And there's just one company in Guatemala doing tufting that are really, really good as well. They were like our main competition, you know. But it's nice that somebody stayed in Guatemala doing tufting. And now that we're here in Austria, we know of another couple that are also doing tufting here, workshops and everything. But it's not that many people doing tufting, you know. But you know what happened is why we came to Vienna is we came to visit my brother, and we went to Mumok, to the
museum.
yeah. And I saw a tufted piece there. And I was like, okay, so there's tufting in Vienna. So maybe I can come here and do tufting here because people already know about it. Because I saw, that was maybe like 5 years ago, and I saw the tufted piece, and I was like, okay, there's tufting in Vienna. I can do tufting there then, because there's people that already know about it. So yeah.
Okay, so this was the main motivation also to come here, also to live closer to your brother, of course. But yeah, so...
Yeah, that was one of the motivations. It's maybe more social, and in the sense that Guatemala is a beautiful country. It's amazing, but it has so much corruption, and there's many things that make living there hard for someone that wants to do art or for someone that does design. And my brother was the one that always kept pushing me, like, Martin, you have to come to Vienna. You really, with the things that you guys do, it's going to be better here than in Guatemala. And I didn't listen to him. He was maybe like for 3 years straight, like, you should come. And I was like, nah, I already have my brand here. I'm already doing okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was okay, but I couldn't live in Guatemala with what I was doing. I had to do other jobs, and I could not just do art or design,
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see about it. But then we came with Sofia to visit. And when we were here, we felt such peace. Like, wow, the way of living here is amazing,
Yeah.
Because I understand that many people here don't know how it is to live in a world where, for example, Sofia cannot walk alone at night. She cannot do that. Or, well, you cannot walk anywhere. You have to drive everywhere. You have to have
also
a car.
During the day, right?
Yeah, during the day, yeah. Because if you just are walking around with your phone, then somebody's gonna steal it from you, and they're gonna put a gun and be like, okay, give me your phone. So it's not that, I don't know, living here is like a weight off of our shoulders.
Yeah.
Or I don't have to worry if Sofia goes out by herself and does whatever she wants. And then I'm like, okay, she's gonna be fine,
Yeah.
But in Guatemala, it was always like, okay, text me when you're there. Text me when you're leaving. Please call me while you're driving, because I want to know if you're safe or everything. So that was also one of the main reasons. When we came here, it was just for a month, and we were like, wow, what was this? It was amazing. So then we started like, okay, let's see how can we start the process to apply for a visa or see what we can do. And then, yeah, Sofia started learning German. I also started like relearning it because I knew it when I was little.
Yeah, because you were in this Austrian school in Guatemala,
There's
right?
an Austrian school in Guatemala,
So
yeah.
Like Austria is such a small, I don't know, country, and there is a school in Guatemala. I've never understood why. But
I have no idea why, but yeah, there's an Austrian school, and if you graduate from that school, you do the matura and everything, so you can come here as if you graduated from any school here.
Yeah, because this is often the problem, like from other countries, if you have the A-levels,
yes,
then it's not possible to study here or to like get a job where it's necessary to have the A-levels.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's why my brother came, because he did graduate from that school, and he came to do his master's.
So it was meant to be that all of you would live in Vienna one day.
We're always joking that he was the one that opened the tab, and now we're just pouring in. Like, now I'm here with Sofia, and now a couple of cousins that also are in that school are thinking about coming here as well. So it's like, prepare for more Guatemalans, But yeah, that was mainly it, Matias was the one that kept pushing us, and once we saw how it was here, we loved the city. We fell in love, and then we were like, yeah. So Sofia started learning German. I started relearning it, and then we found this artist visa that only Austria has. I don't know if any other countries have it.
I don't know.
But Austria has it, and then we were like, okay, let's apply, And then they were like, yeah, we like what you do with tufting and everything. So yeah, you can come.
Okay, that's really nice.
Yeah.
But so you mean that I'm really interested in what you said about Guatemala, because I've never been there.
Yeah.
And I only heard that it's that the like living there is really different. Also how I think that the families live together for a really long time, right?
Yes.
And there are also like people working inside the houses, someone told me.
Yes.
Which is here like really like I don't know a single person who has like people working for them, except for like cleaning people or something sometimes, but also even that more like really like the people that have more money, I would say.
Yes.
And also especially, as a woman and, I can imagine that it must be really crazy to suddenly like to live this life, and like it's normal that you cannot go outside, or even if you drive by car that it's dangerous. To suddenly be in a city like Vienna is like the most livable city or something like I don't know how you say it in English, but I think it's for the people who have Austrian passports, of course. That's, I think it's really convenient if you have an Austrian passport.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it would be really interesting maybe also for the listeners to hear a bit more about that, because I don't know a lot of people that went to Guatemala. I do have some friends actually, and they say that the landscapes are really beautiful, but I also don't know how you can travel there, if it's even for people that are from there.
Well, yeah, I mean, the country is as safe as any Latin American country, you know. We have some places that are worse than others. And the thing is...
And you were in Guatemala City,
Guatemala
right?
City, yeah, Guatemala City, yeah. The thing is, how I see it is that we have a lot of really, really rich people in Guatemala, and then the rest, you know. And then they make everything so that you cannot go outside. Like, we don't have parks. We do have parks, but you don't go there because it's dangerous. So you have to go to a mall. And the only thing that you can do is spend your money. You know, if you want to be like at ease, you have to be at home, at a friend's home, or at a mall, buying clothes and buying things and paying for parking spots. So it's always like this capitalist dream, you know. It's like we focus too much in America, like the American dream. So Guatemala is almost like if you were living in the States, where you have like cars everywhere and then just huge malls where you go with your family and then that's it. Like, for example, when we came here and they told us like, Saturdays, everything closes at like 6 and then Sundays, nothing opens. We were like, what? And what are we gonna do then? Because in Guatemala, everything closed like at 10 p.m. and on Sundays also like at 10 p.m. you could just go to the mall and buy whatever you want. But that's the only thing that you can actually do if you want to feel safe, you know? So it's really weird, but it's starting to change. I have some friends that are like activists now in Guatemala that are trying to open people's minds, you know, like, okay, this is a car-centric country that you can just only be inside your car. It's like a bubble. So I feel like Guatemala City is just filled with bubbles. Like, you live in your gated community, you're inside this bubble. Then you go with your car inside that smaller bubble to the mall. So you're in another bubble, right? And you never leave your own bubbles. Like, you don't mix with other kinds of people. You never meet anyone because you're always like stuck in your car and stuck with your friends and stuck with your family. So it's like really narrow-minded. So maybe that's why I wanted to leave, you know? I was like, okay, this is not the way that I want to continue living my life. And like you said, you can travel. Guatemala is not that big. It's maybe the same size as Austria, I guess. if you go from one city to another, it's not going to be that dangerous. It's going to be fine. It's just some parts of the city are not that good, or some parts in the jungle that are like, okay, you have narcos, so you have people that sell drugs to the States and everything. So you don't want to encounter them, but you won't, because if you just go to to one of our lakes or the beach or whatever, you're not going to encounter those kinds of people. Yeah. It's just that if you make a wrong turn, then it could be dangerous.
And it's always good to know where to not turn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's not like you cannot live there and you can, but the thing is, if you live in Guatemala, then if you have money, then it's really easy for you to live in Guatemala, because you don't actually have to see any of that. If you're indifferent to those social problems, it's fine. You can just live in your bubble and go each Saturday and Sunday to the mall and buy whatever you want and just go back to. But that wasn't us, It was like, okay, we can see so many people suffering. And for example, I didn't want to make this episode like so dark.
No, I think it's really interesting to also see this point of view and to also get to know this point.
Yeah, because I don't know how it is right now, but a couple of years ago, they made like a poll, and some of the families in Guatemala, they live with just $1, so that's 8 quetzales, like €1 a day, the whole family. So imagine living with just €1 for the whole day for 5 people, or 6 people. It's not enough. It's not enough money, So that's why then you have people that work at houses, like cleaning and everything. Some of them actually leave they leave there and they do whatever you want, and then you just pay them whatever you want, because you're like, oh yeah, but I'm giving you where to sleep and I'm giving you food, so yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really interesting, but it's also weird to talk about Guatemala in that light, But it is what it is, That's the truth.
Yeah.
In many cases, that's how it is.
And your friends that are, you mentioned the friends that are activists. Are they also like in a political party, or are they like being activists in the sense of like art, or how do they?
Many of them are artists. One of them is actually trying to become like a political figure at the moment. He started just capturing videos of how the people driving Guatemala, because to give you an example, 2 years ago, I was working at a school teaching, and that school was 5 kilometers away from my house. So without traffic, it took me 6 minutes to get there with my car. But with the traffic, I took almost an hour and a half to get there just for 5 kilometers. But I couldn't take my bike. I couldn't walk. I had to take my car, because I also had like the computer from the school. So I couldn't risk it, for it to be stolen. So it was like an hour and a half. And then this friend of mine was like, you know what, you're right. This is stupid. We're wasting away our life just sitting at a car.
So stressful, and also so bad for the environment and everything. Like it's
super
not
stressful.
A good way of like quality of life. I mean,
exactly.
If you need for like and you're just only standing, right? If it's normally a way of like 6 minutes and you're taking 1.5 hours, must be really stressful, and also like wow.
And what people say in Guatemala is like, you should just wake up earlier and then just beat the traffic, and then you can take a nap in your car waiting for you to enter. And it's like, no. I want to be able to, wake up at a better hour and then just, take the public transport, like. But you cannot do that in Guatemala. So he was like, you know what? He got inspired because I started sending him videos of the public transport here in Vienna. And he was like, you cannot even dream about that in Guatemala. It's like, this is something from outer space, in Guatemala. It's
So
just
there is
cars.
no public transport?
There
Because,
is.
I
There are
imagine that there are
buses.
people that cannot afford a car.
Yeah, exactly. There are buses. So you can use the bus, but it's also like sometimes it's dangerous to take the bus because someone could go up the bus and ask everyone for their phones and wallets and everything. So that happens. So you don't use it. If you can afford a car, then you buy a car and that's it. If you cannot afford it, then you have to use those buses. Then there are
which are also stuck in traffic.
Yes, they are also stuck in traffic. So it's like, whatever. You're not gonna beat the traffic if you use one of those buses, So it's also like, And then, many people use taxis, but it's like maybe 7, 8 people just crammed in one taxi, so they don't have to pay that much. So they take it from one place to another, and then they all pool in and pay the taxi if they want to be safe, But it's also like, I don't know.
Yeah, to be stuck 1.5 hours with total strangers is also maybe not so
not ideal. Yeah. And then the other thing that people do is buy motorbikes, motorcycles.
You can then...
you can go, but then there are so many that there's also traffic with the motorbikes.
So there is no escaping, actually.
There's no escaping. The only way to do it is to actually start developing some type of public transportation system and to make it better for, I don't know, it starts with public transport and with education, because our education is not that good as well. So people can maybe get better jobs and not fall in this category of like, I have no job, no money, then I have to resort to stealing, because the people that are in these maras that rob you and everything, they're just a product of the society. It's not their fault that they're doing that. It's the society that failed them. No. It's the, I don't know how to say it, but
Yeah, I understand. But what does maras mean?
So the maras is like a gang. Like gangs, okay. And we have like 2 main gangs, like the Mara Salvatrucha and the Mara 18. Those are like rival gangs in Guatemala. But then it's like, okay, you live in the projects. Imagine you live in the projects. So you are maybe 10 years old and your father is nowhere to be seen. Your mother is working maybe 3 jobs, and then you don't go to school. And then you see these guys in a gang that tell you, okay, so I'll give you some money so you can help your mom, and then we'll develop this area for you guys to be safe here, but you have to do this for me. And then you're part of the gang, and then it becomes something that people don't have, the security or like the bare minimum to make a living in Guatemala. So they resort to gangs because they tell them like, okay, we will give you that minimum, but you have to do these certain things for us, So that's why I'm telling, like, I feel like the society failed Guatemalans, because then it's like, I just send them to prison and leave them to rot there. And it's like, but it's not their fault if they didn't have any other options, They don't have options of getting around, because let's imagine you live in, I'm going to say it here, like you live in the 17th district, and then you find a job that is all the way to Simmering, but there's no public transport, so you cannot go there in time. And then you have to see if you can maybe borrow some money to buy a car or a bike. And then it's like you have to drive all the way over there, and you're starting to 3 hours a day in traffic, and you're exhausted, and then you go home. And that's the way of living of many Guatemalans, and it's like, then you have the issue of the payments. So people don't pay you enough. Like, I can say like I said, it's like two different Guatemalas. The really rich people and then everyone else. But when I was living there, I started renting an apartment, and I was paying like maybe 500, 600 euros a month. But then the minimum, how do you call it when you
wage?
The minimum wage is 3,000 quetzales. That's around 300 euros. So that's the minimum wage, and I was paying like 600 for an apartment.
That's crazy, yeah.
So it's like, wow, if you want to be able to afford to pay rent, you have to live way, I don't know, like in the outskirts of the city, and then you have to commute all the way.
Working hard again. So,
yeah, exactly. That's why I say like we need public transport for people to, okay, so maybe I can find a better job, but I have to use public transport, and then I can get to my job, and then I can be like better to society. But if you don't have that, then it's really hard. Then if
so
you don't
it's like a real big structural problem, like in so many ways. But weren't there, I'm not 100% sure, but weren't there elections like last year or something in Guatemala?
We had elections, and we were really hopeful about this new president, because he is the son of one of the greatest presidents Guatemala had. Okay. But the thing is, we've had 70 plus years of corruption. So just one term with a new president, it's not gonna undo 70 years of everything that we've had, you know?
Yeah.
And also it's like, the Guatemalan history is really complex. I by no means know it all. But yeah, it's like Guatemala is one of the banana republics, like they call them, like Honduras and El Salvador. And they are called like that because there's this brand, Chiquita Banana. They are from the States, and they used to own a lot of farmland in Guatemala. But then one of the presidents in the 50s was like, you know what, let's make a reform and give these plots of land to the people that live there. We don't want corporations to own these huge plots of land and then our people to starve and to not have the minimum wages, because it was just like they were basically working for free, you know, they were
exploiting the people,
they were
like the land and the people.
Exactly. So then these guys from Chiquita Banana went to the CIA, and then they were like, you know, there's this president now in Guatemala, and he's like, you should look into him because I think he's a communist, you know, and then the CIA intervened, and then everything happened. Like, okay, they took him off the power. And it was Arbenz and Arevalo. Those two were like really important to doing a lot of reforms in Guatemala. But
they were two presidents.
Yeah, it was two terms, like the term of Arevalo and the term of I forgot that. Arbenz, yeah. These two were like the most important presidents, but then they were like, no, we don't want your communist ideas, because they made things like the IGS. It's the same as the SVS. So now in Guatemala, you also have like, sorry, you can pay for medicine and things like that for procedures, but it doesn't work as well, because then you have people in power that have a lot of money that they just want you to spend it for them, you know. It's like, so they are trying to systematically make everything that is run by the government suck, so that you think like, oh, maybe if we privatize this, then it's going to be better. So yeah, that's, I don't know. it's really something, but yeah, that's what's happening. That's what has been happening for the last 70, 80 years, you know, that this couple of influential and really rich families, they own a lot of things, like cement is just one family and no one else can sell it. So they are like
super rich and
super rich.
Okay.
And then it's the same with phone companies. There's only just 2 phone companies in Guatemala, and you cannot just. It's like, no, because they own all the antennas, so you cannot come and compete. And then the infrastructure for cars and everything, it's also like just a few of them that own them. I don't know. It's like messy, but yeah, having the new president, I think it helps a little bit, but it's not.
It will not change
it will
everything
not
in a day.
No, exactly. It's not going to be.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's also, yeah, it's really hard to imagine how life must be there. And also really sad to hear that there are so many, like, that political changes can be good, but also that it's not easy to change something so fast.
Yeah.
And that it's like, it will take years or maybe even decades to change something. And then it also depends on who's coming next. And also, of course, I mean, Guatemala is really close to the USA, and also probably Trump is now the president again, will maybe also change something for Guatemala and the other countries there.
It has already started, because, like a couple of days ago, Trump decided to end the U.S. aid. That's like they helped people in Guatemala with HIV and things like that. And that was, I don't know how to say it in English, but so
you can say it in Spanish, maybe.
I don't know how to say it in Spanish either.
In German.
So the government in the States paid for USAID, and then they made a lot of things in Guatemala to cure people or to at least make them feel better. And but USAID was like really big in Guatemala, and then Trump decided, okay, we're going to cancel that, so we're not going to give them any money now. And that happened like maybe 3 days ago, something like that. So it already started, it's going to be interesting, to say the least, to see what happens now that Trump's again in office. We'll see what happens. But yeah,
scary times. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And also a lot of people that are still there, and also a lot of family members are still in Guatemala. So
yeah, we talk with Sophia about it a lot, like how we wish if we could bring like her sister and some of our cousins and be like, or our parents, I see my parents, and then I think when they grow older, and then when they cannot drive anymore, how are they gonna like buy groceries or I don't know, like live a decent life? I see people here maybe 80, 90 years old walking or riding their bikes and doing whatever they want. And then I feel like, wow, when my parents are that age, what are they going to do if I'm here and they don't have someone to move them around? It's like...
That's true. I mean, for people who have no children or no like spouses or relationships, like in any kind of way, friendships.
Yeah.
That's true, actually. So they're really lonely then.
Yeah.
You don't even have the possibility to walk outside.
No, yeah. And I mean, my parents are privileged in the sense that they live in a gated community, so they can walk there and they can, maybe they have friends there. But then if you want to buy groceries, you have to go with the car, and then you have to go like maybe 5 kilometers to a really big mall just to buy your groceries and then come back home.
And we know how long it can take for 5 kilometers to go.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's messy, So yeah, it kind of sucks. Like now I understand my brother, why he was so adamant that we come here and we experience this, because now I feel how he felt. Like maybe he was living here. He's been here for 8 years now, and he's like, my brother's there in that, in that mess. So now I feel for him. I'm like, yeah, he was right, But yeah.
So it's really cool that you're here now.
Yeah, it is. It's bittersweet. I love it. But then if I think about it, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I wish I could make something, I don't know, like make a difference in Guatemala, but then it's like, I don't know what I could have done if I stayed there for my mental health as well. It's like,
yeah, that's also the thing, because you have to be mentally stable, of course. But I mean, also it's easier if you're not maybe in the situation to do something sometimes instead of being like caught in the system, and also not really, if you cannot like break out of the system. So, but it's really cool that your friends are activists in this case, in this sense, and that you're also maybe pushing them with new ideas, or maybe you send them the buses or public transportation from here. But yeah, I mean, in reality, maybe it's also sometimes a bit tough to realize, okay, it's gonna be so hard, and it's sometimes so hard to change something when you are a single group of people or a single person. Yeah.
I don't know if I should talk about this, but
you can talk about everything you like.
Perfect. So, did you see this Luigi Mangione, like the guy who supposedly killed a CEO in the States? No?
Yeah. Yes, but I have my issues like nowadays with news and everything. I always try to. It's really hard because I cannot distance myself from things that I read, and but so I have like knowledge about this, but I could not tell you more information. About this.
It's fine. It's just that I saw that happening in the States, and I saw a lot of people like being like, yeah, he was right to do that, and then I was sort of like thinking, maybe now it's gonna happen, like there's gonna be an uprising, or there's gonna be a change in how society works. And then nothing happened. And now Trump is president in the States. Yeah. And I know I don't live there, and I'm from Guatemala, but it also affects like everyone in the world. And maybe that's what I want to do, is like make a parallel with Guatemala, it's really hard for me to be like, okay, so my friends are doing this and that, and then there are other groups of people in Guatemala trying to better the society and everything in Guatemala. But then I think like nothing ever happens, it's like kind of like, so maybe that's why I was like, maybe I should just think about, be a little bit selfish, and be like, okay, I'm just gonna go to live my life because I am, I don't know, maybe I feel like, that's not for me anymore,
Yeah, it's always hard to find this. I was interestingly enough, like I had a conversation about this before we started our podcast today, because I was asked if I am still politically active. And I was politically active a lot. And nowadays I like focus with my art projects to be a feminist, and to be like to talk about things that bother me, or that I disagree with in our society. But I stopped being like politically active. And also I had the feeling like that I have to argue why I'm not doing it anymore. But it was like I did a lot of things, and I also saw that it's not good for my mental health, and that it made me not sick or something, but it made me like really sad and like kind of even depressive in some ways, or like seeing the world in such a bad way, in such a bad light. And then I think it's really hard to find like the balance between, okay, I want change to happen, but also at the same time I'm kind of like I don't know what's the word in English, but feel like, do you know the word ohnmächtig?
Nein.
I also don't know what's it in Spanish, but if you feel like it's like so overwhelmed, and it's like I cannot anyway, if I do something, nothing's gonna change. So I really think it's hard to find the balance, but especially with the political situations that we have now in Austria, in
Germany, in
Israel, in Palestine, in the USA, everywhere, Germany, yes. Yeah. So I think it's also really important actually to keep on doing things, but also at the same time, like how can you still manage to enjoy the moments of life that you have left? I mean, we never know when it's going to end, and also to keep your mental health. So this is really a question that I don't have an answer for. But also to do nothing is also maybe not the right way, especially if you're, and I think you're as well a person like this, like you said before, there are people that are just focusing on their lives. But if you're like a sensible person, or if you have knowledge that other people are suffering, it's really not that easy to just be like, oh, sun is shining, I'm happy.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly,
care. I'm fine. I don't care how other people feel. And so it's really, maybe you have an answer for that question, but I think it's something that,
I mean, I think I have a corny answer. Like maybe if you just focus on on the people around you, maybe you can change a little bit of but then it's like, I don't know, man. I think we need something more radical because, I can talk to my parents and tell them like, okay, maybe we should change this and this and let's not buy this brands and let's do this. But it's not going to be enough, It's like...
Yeah, but it's also hard for one person to change so much that it's going to be enough. It's not possible to do so.
Yeah.
But but especially like as a teacher that I am now, I also have the feeling that it gives me a good feeling because it seems like, okay, at least if they have like people, like my team is really cool, a bunch of really cool people. And I think that when I think about my teachers, they really had an effect on me, like mostly in a negative way, but also I knew how I don't want it to be. But maybe this was also good. And so I kind of hope, and this sounds maybe really like stupid to say, but I kind of hope that this is also like that, in this sense, I will have also an effect on the next generations. And even if it's just like in our class, we have 36 kids, which is a big class already, but, and I will not affect every one of these kids, but, like in having talks about, I don't know, if they say stupid things, that they don't even like, know that are stupid. Like, for example, if it's about the Second World War or about, we don't have to go into this. But so these are the small things that I think everyone could do. Talk to people, make people maybe to show them also when they say something stupid, or if they are in like saying something that maybe hurts someone else. And but still, I think it's important to stay loud and stay focused on what would make the life better. And I'm sure that this will not be Kickel or Trump or I don't know AfD.
No, but at least if we have more people, like more empathy in the world, like, then maybe things are going to start to change because, it's not going to change if I just care about me and my family and I don't care about my neighbor and people in other countries. Like, I understand that it's too much, but then if everyone starts like feeling, not feeling sorry, but like thinking about how people are living in other places in the world, and maybe we can be like, okay, maybe I'm a little, I don't know, like privileged and I didn't see it before. Now I can see it, and then I can do something about it, like maybe, I don't know, like make everyone in the world like come to my level of, I don't know. But
it's hard.
Yeah.
But it's good to think about this and important, I think.
It is important, yeah.
And this already sounds like the perfect end of this episode. But is there something else that you want to share, or maybe how one can find you, for example, and all your projects, yours and Sophia's projects?
Let's end in a better note. You can find us at Marzo Studio. That's with an S because of Sophia. So Marzo Studio. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram. And
you also do TikTok?
Yeah, we try.
Are you dancing on TikTok?
Yes. No,
really?
No, we're not dancing.
But like tufting videos and everything.
Yeah, tufting videos and everything like that. But you can find us there. We have also marzoshop.com, so you can see whatever we do there. And welcome. You're all welcome to our workshops,
And maybe I will also post a picture of all the products that I have from you.
That would be fun.
Yeah, because I would just realize that I really have a lot of bags already. Also this yoga mat bag and a lot of things.
Yeah, that was a great experience as well. With the money of that bag it's the money that we used for our first trip to Vienna.
Really?
Because I sold 100 of those. So with that money, I was like, okay, now we can go to Vienna and really see how it is.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes.
So I would say that we will maybe finish our Fritz Cola
Perfect, yeah.
outside, because we left it outside so we don't ruin the equipment here. Thank you so much for taking your time, and it was really interesting and nice to listen to your stories.
Thank you for having me, and I don't know, thanks for the space.
Okay, thank you and bye.
Bye.